Hey everybody, you're listening to A2Z episode 53. Today's guests are Tommy Reed and Eric Adams, creatives living in Silsbee, Texas.
It's like they're trying to be too meta.
We're gonna make them an offer they can't refuse.
Much better.
Yeah. You can
buy you a drink. You can't just
well, I mean, he did pick out somebody we know.
Well, you sidestepped the question. That technology does not exist.
Hey everybody, what's up? I'm Aaron. I'm here with my co-host Zach.
Hey,
Welcome to A to Z. If this is your first time listening, thanks for checking us out.
A to Z is produced sort of weekly, and show notes can be found at atozpodcast.com. If you like what you hear, feel free to hit subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast fix.
You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at A to Z BMT, where you can find updates, clips, and a host of extra content.
And also don't forget the Facebook groups. We got A to Z Podcast Group, and we have A to Z Movie Night, the Groupening.
And also, don't forget that we have split those two podcasts up. There's A to Z Podcast Now, what you're listening to. There's also A to Z Movie Nights, and you have to go and click an entirely separate subscribe button.
Yes, so you can get those new episodes, and a new one is coming soon, I want to say. All right, it has been out by the time we put this out. Anyway, this week we have Tommy Reed and Eric Adams. They are two young creatives who are living in Silsbee or have moved back to Silsbee to pursue a different kind of dream.
That's right. They're our homies, and for some reason or another, the Pines just gets their creative juices flowing.
Yeah, so this time we kind of spent a lot of time talking about why they got back, what they're doing there, and about the idea of small-town home living. It's a good episode to come out for Thanksgiving, right?
I think so. Yeah, it does feel good about that. Yeah, that's an interesting thing. And it's the episode's kind of cut in half, where in the first half we talk to Tommy, and in the second half we talk to Eric, and it's kind of a dichotomy of audio and video, or audio and image, I should say. Yeah. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. All right, and if you like what you hear, as always, hit subscribe, leave reviews and comments, tell your friends. We want to hear your feedback. And,
tell your mom and them.
Yeah, and enjoy this episode with Tommy Reed and Eric Adams.
Stars will pass the mother's son, saw the moon, felt the run, found a time, then it lost, never knew, never crossed the open space, the open field, see them light, watch them yield, now they grow and do anew, with confidence and solitude.
And you can't see the house from the road.
Pull up like, this is a studio?
Yeah, it's rough. Like the UPS guy, like when he comes out there, he's every time he's pissed. He's like,
and I bet you're ordering a lot of shit too, huh?
Yeah, no,
eBay
I do all the time. Like at least once a week, the guy comes up and he's just like, because the same one, and he hates.
Bro, you gotta make him
what's up,
cupcakes
Tommy?
or something.
He's like, are you gonna fix this driveway? And I'm like,
Hello, Mr. Reed. How are you today?
Is it like a really long
I
driveway?
have a 40-pound
like
package for you.
He drives a whole quarter mile.
Yeah.
Build him a lockbox, man. Like, give him a key. Like,
no, I mean, I need it. I just, yeah. I got the biggest.
Because he's going to be
mailbox you can
taking your
get.
expensive bikes and like chunking them, you know? If he knows.
No, I mean, I don't have any issues.
Take that.
The FedEx lady that comes, she's chill, man.
They got the new trucks. The UPS trucks are old.
They have the
Well,
big
the UPS
old,
guys are the UPS guys are in a union, and the FedEx aren't, so they might be a little more comfy, you know, a little more spoiled, stuff like that.
But I mean, granted, the UPS van, it's a van. Like
Yeah,
it's not, it's probably 4-wheel drive, big tire.
Oh, it's like
van.
a Econoline, like a van.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like the dream
Yeah, it can
car.
handle it. Right. It's not like taking a big box truck. Down
Exactly.
It's like a
When they
Sprinter or
come
something,
down, they're
Right.
just, yeah, I mean, he
'Cause they're
almost
always
got
hauling
stuck
ass
this last
everywhere.
time.
Yeah.
Oh, well, they haul ass down the
Everywhere, yeah.
driveway
down
and
the
just like boom, boom, and I can hear it. I'm like, okay.
Damn. Oh, my ship is here.
Unknown challenges of having a studio in the pines. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, to the point about getting people here in the beginning, and
It
you're
can be
like,
weird,
I'm not gonna
I'm not gonna murder you,
murder
bro.
you
I
or
mean,
anything. But I actually have a band coming in October, and they're not recording a record or anything. They're just coming by to do something similar to a podcast. I mean, I'm not going to do an interview or anything, but they're just stopping by, and the idea is that people stay. They record a
okay.
session,
Uh-huh.
and then
stay the
they
night.
stay the night.
You have like a bunk out. You have like a
yeah, I've got like a little, like
little
in the
bungalow?
studio, there's a
Yeah.
loft.
Oh, okay.
So,
Well, before we get too far into it, welcome to A to Z, everybody.
oh, there you go.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey.
We just like to slide on in them like
Slide.
this.
That's a good
Yeah.
We're here with Mr. Tommy Reed. How you doing? And,
Welcome.
And Eric Adams.
Hello.
I brought my fellow bullshitter with me.
We're here.
So this is an all Silsbee boy
All
edition
Silsbee boy. Yeah.
of A to Z podcast. Yeah.
So me and Tommy actually graduated together, and me and Eric have been friends for quite a long time. But we brought these guys on because they are still in Silsbee, but not in the way that you would.
Not still in Silsbee. Moved back to Silsbee.
They moved back to Silsbee, but
That's
it's
it,
like it's
yeah.
not in the towny way where like you never left your town. It's like y'all chose to go back, and y'all are doing artistic things in a town that's kind of it's a small ass town in southeast
Yeah.
Texas. Like,
Yeah, I asked myself that like on daily. Wait, what did I do?
What am I doing?
I had a vision. Where did
Field of Dreams kind of thing.
Oh man.
yeah. I mean, I
Nah,
kind of
man,
come
if-
back to that, but
If you build it, they will come. Honestly, it's gonna take some grinding. I think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe earning your reputation, cutting your teeth.
for sure.
But the location, as far as a recording studio, I don't think is really that valid. I mean, look at Muscle Shoals. It's in the middle of nowhere
Yeah.
in Alabama.
and there's
right.
that one out in El Paso, Sonic Ranch.
Yeah,
Right?
Sonic
Yep.
Ranch in El Paso. That's what is that
It's
like?
it's on a
16-hour
pecan
drive
grove.
from everywhere. It's a geographical oddity.
It's closer to California than it is to Louisiana, actually. So.
yeah,
So yeah, no big deal, man.
it's gonna work out.
So,
People come,
Tommy's
they'll stay the night
Just to,
and
I guess
record.
get y'all caught up. Tommy's built. You have built a studio. You have built a full size recording studio in the woods.
Yeah,
So
What's the name of that studio?
it's called Lazy Bones.
Lazy Bones.
Yeah, Lazy Bones Audio, to
Okay.
be specific. And I came up with that one from a poem, a Pablo Neruda poem. It's really good. Just check it out.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a video on the website.
What's the poem called?
Lazy Bones.
Lazy Bone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just took it. Actually, that's translated from a Spanish word that I can't recall, but
But that's the
Yeah.
gist of it.
that's
yeah.
the idea. I did put the website out recently, and
Yeah.
when I was doing that, my dad called me and was like, you put a copyright on that, right? I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I probably should.
Probably should, yeah.
And I'm setting up the SEO stuff, the Google search.
Yeah. So you're kind
Stuff.
of getting all the. I
Yeah.
mean, really, the big thing is building it.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
yeah,
and then
no,
all the merchandising and the branding and the,
yeah.
and the
I mean,
payment of it
I'm
comes
not
after.
thinking about
Right.
that.
No.
I probably should have. But anyways, there's a Lazy Bones recording.
It's Lazy Bones.
It's called
Recording.com.
Lazy Bones Recording. Actually, I don't remember the actual website, but I found it. It's in like,
We'll have it in the show notes after.
well,
It's already
no,
out. No, he's saying there's
that
already
one,
out
yeah.
Oh, there is
yeah.
already one.
I got the
Yeah.
lazybonesaudio.com. It's
Okay.
great. It's there. It's simple, but I
Yeah.
found another Lazy Bones recording,
Where are
and
they?
I was like, "Shit!"
Where
are
they
you
do like
kidding me?
audiobooks or something? What-
Yeah, well, they just stole my name pretty much, and
Yeah.
so
You know how many A to
anyways.
Z
That's
podcasts there are?
Eric,
Yeah,
Eric,
I
that's
don't-
the other,
yeah.
that's
Exactly.
the other sponsor is Audible. That's
Yeah.
the other one everybody
Audible.
does. That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Anyway,
Audible. Yeah. So what? I mean, what? Why?
Coming soon.
Why? What was the impetus? What's the story on this thing?
Yeah. Oh man. Well, the funny thing, I guess I'll start with like the fact that I'm back in Silsbee, because I mean, the truth is, I was going to start a recording studio eventually. I might be 50,
Yeah,
but
it was gonna happen.
before it happens, it was going to happen wherever I was. I mean,
You've been doing
even when I was in Waco, Tim and I were dreaming up stuff. But I had kids. I think that's probably the thing that
think about
turned
schools.
it turned everything around probably. But I've come back now 3 times. This is my 3rd time to move back to Silsbee. So you were saying like
just
move
back and
away
forth from
and then
Silsbee to Waco, and
it's like always coming home. And finally, I was actually still working the same job, but I was living in the Woodlands for this job, and we were not going to live in the Woodlands. I mean, that was a definitive. I knew I needed to be there for this job for at least 2 years before they'd allow me to just kind of go remote. And so we did that, and there was a kind of a point where we were looking at Wimberley, like the
around Austin.
Around Austin. We lived in Dripping Springs for a while, and that was
nice,
awesome. Yeah. And I'd love to get back there. But yeah, really definitely, came back to the family thing, and I was like, okay, I can move to Silsbee if I could buy a piece of land, especially right next to my parents, which is what I ended up with.
That's a whole nother set of value, you know?
Yeah, I mean...
Having somebody help you.
So you have the piece of land that meets, so you and your parents share a property line?
Pretty much, we share a property line, a tree line, and that... I had my eyes on this piece of land and for a while, and I just was like, that'd be cool if I could get that. Maybe it'd be cool to live in Silsbee if I had that. And so anyways, we pulled the trigger, bought the land, and then I lived with my parents.
How long ago did you buy the land?
Building?
3 years probably.
3 years ago?
Yeah, maybe more than that. We bought it, and then moved down to Silsbee, lived with my parents while we saved up money, because you can't just like fuck a guy that can buy a piece of land and then build a house on it just like that.
Yeah. It takes time.
It took a lot of time and
y'all built a house before you built the studio, right?
So it actually
that seems like a big no-no with the wife and everything.
Well, my wife's pretty chill, luckily. Not that chill, but she's. Anyways, we ended up building a house with a studio.
Yeah.
That was the only way to work it out, man. I've been
part of it.
I've been trying to figure this. How am I going to build a recording studio
and a house,
or just a recording studio for years since I can remember dreaming up anything? So probably 10 years, I'd love to have a studio, and then I always look at it. I'm like, holy shit, how can you possibly pull this off? Because of the gear, and then because most people they rent out a space. Mm-hmm. So you rent out the space, and then you make a lot of changes to it.
Rent the gear, you bring in your gear.
Yeah, and you bring it all in, and you're paying rent every month, and then the landlord says,
"Hey, you're being too loud."
Exactly. I know you just put $30,000 worth of treatment and everything in, but I need you out in the next 6 months, and you're just like, okay,
that's all your investment is up in smoke.
Yeah, exactly. So I decided probably 5 or 6 years ago, like, you know what, if I ever do this, it's got to be I bury the investment in my mortgage where it doesn't feel as dumb. Just got to figure it out. And I mean, we worked it, and to the point where we had a house plan and then a separate building for the studio, and
the roof comes first.
Yeah. But anyways, we went and the financing for that. Everybody just looked at me like, "Are you serious? You can't build a recording like a separate. Banks weren't gonna finance me building a recording studio on the side of my house."
So did you have to like kind of hide it as something else?
Exactly,
like guest house.
Exactly. So it's
this
actually
is
attached.
Get you in trouble with your mortgage, is it?
No. This is all we're
clear.
above board here. It's actually a part of the house, and when I had the plans put together, when I took it to the bank, it's actually called a family room.
Yeah,
It's this ridiculously oversized family room.
So is it connected to the house? Is it part
It
of
is
the house?
actually.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
because if
got
you
a
ever
single
stop
door.
recording, it can be a family room. Like it looks
Technically,
nice.
yeah.
And we'll try to share some photos too.
I
'cause
guess
it's
bungalow.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works, but it's just time. Yeah, this is the slow game, man. The building a recording studio is the slow game. I've decided.
Well, all the costs start to add up too. Man.
Well, yeah, no,
Not counting
I'll
the
always
gear is
be
one
broke.
thing. The gear is one thing. You collect gear, especially if you do audio or anything that requires tools. You collect it over the years, and then eventually you have like a nice little locker.
Yeah,
And that comes without having even any kind of studio or anything. It's the studio itself, though, is like everything that you have to do to make it sound good is expensive.
yeah, no, everything.
Every-
Mic stands, even like
Yeah, cables.
you buy a
are cheap.
microphone that's really heavy, and then you're like, oh, I gotta
can't
buy
put it on
a
any of these.
$350
This
mic
onstage.
stand.
Yeah,
It's not going to work.
Yeah,
It's
or you
kind
got to
of
put weights on it, and it looks silly. You don't want
Yeah.
that.
Well, yeah, and we do that, but it's just when they say it's like a money pit, it really is a money pit.
Well, you have
But-
even if you have projections based on who you know and what you could possibly get through there, you have no guarantee that you're going to ever pay it off.
Yeah, no,
itself, you know?
that is honestly, that's been the mentality, and that's why it's been a slow game. Is like, I'm gonna pay for all this
And you're gonna
stuff
do it
as I go,
As in budget as possible.
exactly.
So you never get your head below water.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So like,
You'll never be in trouble.
and I also still have a milk cow. Like I have a job,
Right,
and I
right.
hate it, but
Right.
it does. That's probably the next step. Is
Doing that
hopefully
for
in
a
the
living?
next 2 years I can just say, I'm not doing that gig anymore. I'm gonna focus in on doing this, and that's the next step. I
So
don't
the
know how quick
family's
that'll
been
happen.
fully behind it?
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, my wife's pretty chill, and she's made me be really smart with it, and I have to. It's got to make a lot of sense.
If you're going to do it, you have to. That's good though. I mean, because you're probably coming out with a better setup than you would have if you had
for
rushed it.
sure. Probably
so,
If
yeah,
you had just
yeah.
thrown money at it, like you make so many mistakes doing that,
Yeah, no, for
cutting
sure.
corners and all that. So
It's good to have somebody in your ear, like tempering, your passions and making sure that you don't get ahead of yourself. So I
Yeah.
think that's really
She
cool.
she made me put together pretty much the overall mission statement type thing. And
Really
then every
think it
time
out,
I
yeah.
ask, like, hey, I want to buy this $1,500 tube compressor,
Yeah.
she's like,
Do you
does
really
that
need it?
fit into
How
that
many
mission
tube
statement?
compressors do you have?
Yeah, exactly. And
Can you do without that?
yeah. It's like, is that really going to get you what you want? And then a lot of times I'm like,
Did you
well,
get it framed?
shit,
Did you
no,
have
I
your-
just
you
was
have
on
your mission
reverb
statement
too late at
framed?
night. But yeah,
Yeah.
so it's getting there. And the studio's functional now. We were actually recording last night, which is
Oh yeah. What were y'all doing last
Hey,
night?
can we have some of those tracks for this episode?
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, this
well,
episode probably won't come out for like another month.
They probably raw, probably super raw.
That would be
they're-
but
they're
it would be
pretty finished.
cool.
They're
It
close.
would be cool to
Oh, no, they're
put
done.
y'all's
Yeah.
music made in
That's
that
how-
studio here. That would be.
Yeah.
It's like that's how we do
I
it in
think so.
Silsbee. They're done, brother.
that actually is the
2 a.m.
mentality, man.
That's it,
I'm
man.
just like,
Yeah.
when you leave, this is done.
Dropbox.
As close as possible, and it works. It was
We
sure.
airdropped it last night. It's
We
perfect.
airdropped.
Oh.
We got technology.
Y'all have
Silsbee.
future.
First time.
Wait,
we
y'all got
airdropped.
airdrop out there in Silsbee?
Oh yeah.
I
Took
don't
a
have
minute.
internet, but I do have airdrop.
I got a wireless network. It's
We
not attached to the
we
internet.
also don't have internet in our studio.
Yeah, we don't
either.
Oh,
Shit's
man.
expensive, man. You got to pay rent. You know?
Yeah.
Mortgage.
Oh, they just like straight up don't have cable out there, which
yeah,
is bullshit.
it's really
Oh,
far out.
I've got like the hotspot is what I live off of, but it fills me.
So I mean,
often.
I guess you were choosing between Silsbee and maybe Waco would be the other option, because I think Waco would be a bad place to build a compound outside where you want
It's a
people
good
to come
call.
stay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I thought
Generally.
that I thought that'd be a bad idea for so many reasons,
Yeah.
but the obvious.
You take that family room plan to the bank, and they'll be like, "This looks familiar. I don't like this. I don't like this." It's a
Exactly.
joke in bad taste. I'm sorry.
No, it's a real thing that
That
happened.
makes sense though.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's Waco, obviously the Austin area, but that's so saturated and so
Dude, Dripping
expensive.
Springs has some
Yeah.
amazing studios in it too.
Oh yeah, no,
That
And
whole
all
area
all
is
those
so
areas around
saturated,
it,
and
yeah.
then it's also just like, what you get for your money. So a lot of things out there are going to be really cost prohibitive to what you want to do because you're playing the slow game. And probably the thing that's going to take the most time is building up like public consciousness and confidence, right? And what you're doing, and having people be like, went over there. Where'd you record your EP? Oh, Lazy Bones.
Building your clientele.
Yeah. And it's going to snowball, but at first I'm sure it's going to take so long. So if you're out in a place where the cost of living is twice as high, I mean, you're going to last half as long, you know?
Exactly.
It's a simple equation, so I think it's great. I think it's a great place to go.
Yeah,
Makes a lot of sense.
There's significance. I think I keep making this all sound super reasonable and like, oh, my parents are there.
Well, it all goes back to you're
it was
building
a pipe
studio.
dream.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, I mean, you're doing it the smart way. You still have a good job. You and the time that you're in. That's the thing that's really cool about it, is the time that you're investing into taking your time with it and doing it smart economically, and how you build it, and staying within budget and everything, and how you tied it to the house. Like that means you have time to slowly build a clientele. You don't have to go out and just start taking every job you can, taking cheap jobs. You can bide your time with getting clientele, you don't have to rush to start cranking things out. To cover the credit card bills that you piled up.
I avoided that one. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a pipe dream, and
it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes back to what you said. You have the studio now, but you might not be successful until you're 50.
That's true. I might not ever be.
But you have the studio now.
It's okay.
But you have the studio now, and it's
a lot of fun.
It's cool.
It's a shit ton of fun.
I bet.
It feels really good. I want to get you guys.
Of course.
I almost offered. I was like, dude, why aren't we doing this?
I've
got an RE20 and an
Missed
SM7.
Because I just drove 4 hours. I'm not driving out to Silsbee right now. That's probably the big reason.
No. I wanted to see
I wanted you to see my studio.
I know, exactly. And I'm excited about it. This is awesome.
Do you feel like you get something extra from being out there too? Like a little extra energy, you know what I mean? Like, so
man.
That was going to be a big topic of conversation.
Like, obviously we're all from Silsbee, right?
Yep.
And we're all, I mean, myself the least of all, but we're all like kind of creative. And I think that we got that from where we came from. I really do. I think like growing up.
I don't know what it is.
Specifically like north of, did we all grow up north of Silsbee?
Pretty much.
Kind of. I was on 327.
I mean, it's really boring there in a lot of ways. Like, we climbed a lot of trees when we were kids,
Isolation, man.
Well, that's what makes it.
That's
the reason.
Yeah, so I think it really fosters a lot of creativity in us, and I think so. That was it. I just wonder if you get like some extra energy being out there in the ponds.
No, for sure.
The isolation,
Satsuma Valley, all that stuff.
quiet,
Satsuma,
the quiet.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that's really important to the recording process,
for sure.
or the art process.
The art process in general.
Being surrounded by more natural looking objects.
It's the most
really
beautiful.
helps.
It's the most beautiful town in Southeast Texas, I would say.
Oh yeah,
bar
It's
none.
got
Agreeable.
hills. There's a lot of trees.
Yeah.
Like
Big thicket.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're
Creek.
in the big thicket for sure.
It does feel really
it's
different.
like 2 miles from the creek where I'm at too. So.
I mean,
White sandbar.
2 miles from the creek.
Yeah, from the
Yeah.
creek.
That's pretty cool.
That creek. But I mean, that's cool though, because same as people going out to like Sonic Ranch, like that's a historic place, or going to any of these what would you call that? Location studios?
Site specific.
Yeah, like that's
Retreat.
Retreat.
I hate
It's almost-
using it.
It's almost like a retreat.
It
Yeah,
is,
that's in the
is,
marketing.
though.
That's the point.
I had to.
You get
I had
to because
You
you
gotta
get
get them
to
hashtags, bro. Them
to
buzzwords.
churn your creative energies out in the woods, like
Yeah.
that. But that is super important. But it's cool. It's cool that you're gonna introduce a lot. If it becomes even moderately successful, you're gonna introduce a lot of people to the same kind of magic, I guess, that we grew up with.
Yep.
Like this. Yeah, this is. Yeah, we're outside of Beaumont. This is not a great area. Not too many people are excited to be in this area. But
there's
whenever you go
something
and
there,
see,
though.
there is
Yeah.
something.
I mean,
Yeah.
just like I said earlier with Muscle Shoals, like that's in one of the most impoverished areas in the country. You go to Sonic Ranch in El Paso. That's not a great area to be in. It's right by the border. I mean, it's.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think there's something there.
Yeah.
Being. I think that's what the soul is.
But it was all about being true to myself. Like,
Right.
man, who am I gonna? I'm not gonna move to outside of Austin and build a studio. I don't know Austin.
And then like, who are you trying to impress?
I don't know
You
any
what I
of
mean?
that.
Yeah.
All I know is pretty much. That's why I keep coming back. I guess it makes it to a lot of people driving through Silsbee, and you see the I don't know what the audience is here for right wing, left wing, but
Whatever.
is whatever it is. But
It's centrist, probably.
I would say that a lot of people that will come from out of town, if they drove through town and they saw some of the, well, I mean, just like when you drive past Evadale High School and you see that it's a Confederate flag, and that's like their
their thing.
mascot.
Yeah.
Like that'll throw people for a loop, but it really doesn't throw me. It
Rebels.
all makes perfect sense to me. It's dumb. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's all
Not a supporter.
terrible, but
For sure.
for some reason this place kind of makes sense to me. And so I was like, okay, back to the playing the long game, if I'm gonna play a long game and like build up, and hopefully in 30 years from now I can look back and there's somewhat of a legacy and a good thing. It's like, well, if there's any place for that, it would be Silsbee. I already kind of have a little bit of a background there, build something.
And you have a
up,
support
so.
system there, too.
Yeah.
You know?
I got a mama and a daddy.
That's it.
You know,
Right.
I got lucky. So.
Dude, you have a very supportive mom and dad.
Yeah. They think I should gold. I need that.
You know?
Yeah,
I thought you did too.
I need that. That's for sure. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. True talk.
Well, you feel like we're taking a halfway point?
Yeah, let's take a little break. Get some more beers.
More beers.
We'll be back after these sponsors.
Hey, this is your favorite host, Aaron.
Fuck you!
And you're listening to A to Z Podcast. A to Z Podcast is funded in part by our patrons at Patreon. If you would like to support us, head on over to patreon.com/A to Z BMT.
Seeing the horizon.
All right, guys. Well, welcome to the mid-episode break.
Yeah, well, this is where we advertise for future events, but because Thanksgiving is this week, it doesn't seem like... I mean, there's a couple of shows going on, but we figured we'd just make this short and sweet and tell you about our Patreon.
And we don't need to advertise for Turkey. They got it going on.
Yeah, they got it going on. Patreon.com/A to Z BMT. You can help us keep this studio open. It's not about us. It's about paying the bills at the studio at this point. Shout out to Doug Waldrop. Shout out to Brian Casino.
Jordan Stringer
and Lance Killian for being our current and past.
If you would like
patrons.
to be a big homie to us and support us, that'd be great. You don't have to spend a lot of money. Maybe just a buck or $5 a month, or even just a one-time donation will help us out. I hate sounding like we're begging, but come on, y'all help us out a little
In
bit.
the holiday spirit. And happy Thanksgiving, guys. We're going to get back to this episode, and this next one features Eric Adams.
That's it.
Hazy film unraveled now. Lens flares in each negative. Light peeking over my shoulder. I will never remember this. I just wanna find the truth. Memories always find me somewhere in my head. Somewhere in my
And so I think teaching kids like podcasts and upload YouTube, that's what I'm getting at. Like,
Teach them how to put out square videos.
yeah,
Seriously, like-
yeah, no, and thankfully we don't have to do a broadcast every day like we did in Silsbee, and really they have no form of it. So I'm inventing like all of that
Well, this is a good time.
And
to
now
come.
I know I
We'll-
can buy
we'll say
this
We're coming back.
for $12.
Coming back.
Yeah,
going
yeah.
back.
Come back from break.
We're coming back, and Eric's talking. Eric,
Audible.
You might want to give a little more back. You haven't given your spiel yet.
Yeah,
Who are you?
my name's Eric.
I introduced him as my fellow bullshitter.
Yeah, that's
still true.
Yeah, that's definitely what I do. I think we had a lot of porch conversations before you built the studio, and it's all BS. But no, I
So y'all
I
are like,
live.
wait a minute. Y'all are like me and Zach.
Yeah.
This is like, you literally divide this table.
I don't
Exactly.
exist
Age difference,
in
too. The age
Silsbee
difference is about
without
the
this.
same.
Yeah.
Artists,
This is pretty cool.
yeah, studio art.
This is pretty cool.
Sure.
It's like looking in a mirror, you
You
guys.
ever thought about doing a podcast?
Look alike
We sit
too.
on. We sit on.
No, we
porches.
definitely
the same
You have a
people?
studio?
Whoa.
Studio?
Wait a minute. Me and Eric do look alike, and this is
It's
freaking me
listen,
out
We're
right
wearing
now.
the same
Echo
color
chamber.
clothes. Like,
Echo.
We're going to have to do a group photo.
No, this is weirding me out, man. But anyway, I'm sorry. Let's give it.
I have not left Silsbee like ever.
Yeah, you never left.
In fact, I live on the same land that I grew up on.
Before,
like perfectly.
we were talking about the magic of Silsbee and everything, and I think I saw Eric kind of like, because Eric, you've always been the one to hold. And we've been saying it since we were in school that how magical and how important of a place that you felt that area was.
Yeah. We're not trying to suck Silsbee's dick.
No. Well, if you ask me like who do you like musically, if you ask me like who do you inspire to, who do you listen to the most, it's the people that I grew up with. Like, that's the stuff I've like would go to a show and be like, what? And then like go write a song because of it. And so I think, I'm from Silsbee, live there. You know, the art that I make is all really about that.
Eric's a photographer.
Yeah.
Many things.
You got your audio degree, and then
so in high school, you know, Sharon Grisham, shout out, she bought an iMac and a cheap interface and two
we
MXL
all four
microphones.
benefited from Sharon Grisham.
I think we should all
thank you.
She's not listening, but
thank you for
she really is the reason that we're all here.
Tommy and I were in the same class together.
Yeah. And she actually gave me the 2 guitars that were in her class.
Really?
She like gave those to me for my class, and they're all like broken. but man, it's pretty cool. But
that's crazy.
Yeah. So we started. I mean, even before that, we were recording music for fun, like on Thursday
5
nights.
W's and stuff.
Yeah. And so like getting introduced to making art by yourself was really big. So I went to audio engineering because I didn't know what to do with my life, and I thought that was it.
You finished your degree.
I finished it because always finish.
He doesn't mess around.
Finish all of it, but I stuck through it.
He was a completionist.
Audio engineering, Lupa, LSCPA.
Yeah,
that's a great place, and but
it's even better now too.
But I found myself like not like being able to have conversations with other audio engineers. Like I'm not a big gear fan.
Like you don't like talking. I hate talking about gear.
Everybody was like talking about all this gear stuff. I was like, dude, I don't know. I also I can't hear frequencies very well. That frequency test, I don't know if you remember that, but like, you had to write down the frequencies you heard. Yeah, I failed that. I cannot hear that stuff. So I found out that that's not what I want to do for a living, but I definitely love recording music. I like the process as an art form.
And playing and doing all that.
Sharing an office with John Fryermuth, who's now the
We've been trying to get him.
Director.
The last time we tried to get him on, he had to cancel because he got staph in his face.
Yeah.
So
that's probably
it's a good reason
from all the apple pie he eats.
Shouts out to John. We're gonna get him in here.
Gosh. Eventually. No, so he was a big like him, and then there's a painting teacher there, Grace Magnet, who were like, you should go to get a studio art degree instead of doing communications next. So I did.
They pretty much told you you're good for nothing, but you sure do dream up some cool stuff.
Yeah, no, for sure.
That's not true.
No, it is so true.
You are a creative.
You're methodical with the things you do.
I am a dreaming man.
Yeah,
you know, I guess that's my problem. But I studio art, and then first class with Keith Carter in the dark room.
Also trying to get him on too.
Just fell in love with the dark room, and it was like something I was good at. That I could, again, kind of exclusive. I could do it myself. I could be in control of the whole process. And
doesn't take too much of equipment to do photo.
No, it's not bad. I have a little dark room in a trailer park.
Yeah,
that I made my most recent work.
You made your own dark room.
Yeah, my parents own this like trailer park, and right in between Kuntz and Lumberton.
So you turn a trailer into.
It's like a duplex, but it's.
They have like a little.
It's rowdy, y'all.
Like
it's rowdy.
It's sketch, man. It's like it stinks, man. It smells like.
I'm sure it
and
smells
not the
very
good
chemically.
Like. It's not the darkroom smell. I mean, some people hate it. I love it. It's like Easter. I don't know. It smells like rotten eggs,
smells like
vinegar,
Easter.
right?
Oh, it's vinegar and eggs.
But it's not enough smell to get rid of like years of smoking abuse,
right,
and like in weird cheap wood.
Yeah, that soapy smell of the. Yeah.
So, but anyways, I studio art degree and fell in love with that stuff, and just kind of been rocking and rolling and
studio art for photography. Right?
Yeah,
So
all darkroom based stuff, and what I do now is all like photograms, which is your like OG version of photography.
So it's like you have a big plate and you print onto it?
Kind of. Well, it's like you take that fiber-based paper, and what I do is I tape 16 sheets of 11 by 14 paper in a 4 foot by 5 foot grid, and then I have my nephews who are growing up on the land that I grew up on stand in front of it. I throw some water on them, and then I hit a 20-second exposure, and I tape everything down, and I run it through the chemicals. Put
Tape
it back
the kids
together.
down too?
Yeah, no, they're
They
actually
gotta be still.
Yeah, they're still for 20 seconds, which is challenging. You should try it. But what's great is it does create this nice, beautiful, like blur almost. It gives you a little bit of a texture. Photograms are typically flat. It's just white and black.
So it's the grid pattern, kind of like the rasterbation or whatever they used to call that.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. You
remember
talking
that.
about raster. That's funny. In my
Whenever I saw
room,
the pictures of it, whenever we found that, we printed all those photos out, right?
the Revolver record. Sorry, Velvet Revolver.
Yeah,
not
sorry,
that band.
Beatles.
Yeah, sorry, Slash. But the Beatles, second best to Velvet Revolver. They have their Revolver record. I masturbated that.
Yeah.
Is that the right term?
Masturbate. It sounds really
Masturbating.
dirty. Yeah, it sounds really dirty, but it's basically where you take a picture and you break it down into dots so
Yeah.
that you can spread it over a large area on the individual pieces of paper. But it kind of mimics that.
It does,
and
and the work that I do, it has like I leave the masking tape. I feel,
you leave the masking tape.
Yeah, I
on
leave the
just a
so
piece
there
of it.
is a grid. It to a lot of people it looks like windows, like you're looking through a window.
Yeah, that's pretty.
And I'm cool with that. And but it's just sort of like for me, it was just like how to solve a problem. How do I make
What was your
a
problem?
giant photogram? How do I make
Trying
a
to make a
life
giant
size?
photo?
How do I make? Because I attempted with it with like big sheets of paper and laying down on it, and I was
That's
like,
almost impossible. You can't even manage to move them.
right. And it's like it's hard to get that paper. It's expensive, but you
That
can.
too.
I mean, the paper is expensive, period. But it was a problem solved, and then it turned out to be a way to make work, and it's just a great process. It's kind of fun. It's probably overworking it, but
Yeah. So
that's kind of
how
the
many
point.
shows have you done since you've got? I mean, not even the degree doesn't really even matter. How many shows have you done since you like really got into it?
I think so. I
I'm
had
not saying
my
that your degree doesn't matter, but you know,
no,
what I mean, like,
it doesn't.
that's
But
not the standard of being a photographer.
the degree's less as important.
The
but
work is the most important.
Yeah, and I had a show whenever I was in college. I made a bunch of 35 millimeter photographs of Silsbee. Made the show called The
remember that.
Pines.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
opened up an ice house, but then I had a show for Photonola in New Orleans with that work. So that was cool.
Yeah.
And then I've had, I don't know, I guess eight shows. I don't know. I haven't counted, but I had the thesis show, and then that show traveled to Port Arthur, and then I started doing these photograms. Well, Houston hit me up for Photo Fest. They liked the photograms I did, and were like, can you make 12 of these, or can you make 7 to 14? And so I shot for 14,
Wow.
made 12. And
Are those the ones that are hanging in your studio?
in the
right
studio,
now?
yeah.
Some of them?
Yeah,
3 of
that-
them.
You should go there to see the pictures. It's pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
I've got them. They're huge, right? I mean,
No, they're. I mean,
this is a big wall.
I can't really.
right?
I know. I mean, it's a high ceiling.
Yeah,
and
it's
I
like
saw
12
the-
foot.
Yeah.
and then they take up half of it. It's huge.
Yeah.
It's really spectacular though.
So it's kind of cool. I nail the work into the wall. I like, it's actually like little pins that you would use for if you're sewing or something. These what are they called?
He's really lazy.
And I pop it in. That's how I did it for
You
the.
call it art. It's really just lazy.
it's
Well,
art.
so there's intention
primitive.
behind leaving the masking tape, nailing it to the wall, like not hanging it properly.
It's all on
Yeah.
purpose.
So
It's all intentional.
What's the intention?
I
Just
think
doing what you can with what you have.
So the work is about my family. The work is about living on dirt, dead end road that your family's lived on for 3 generations. And a part of that, my grandfather tinkered. That was his thing. Put a weed eater motor on a bicycle, no brakes. You just got to slide in the dirt, right? Or
Or hit a tree.
let's take this vehicle that has no doors and make it run, and that can be my dad's first car or whatever. So these kind of like use what you have, that kind of element, and rather than like try to. I'm not making money doing this, right? And so to buy a
Did they pay you
frame,
to
my
do
God.
to
that?
buy a
Frame
frame
that
for
size?
a 4 foot, 4x5,
It would.
that's expensive.
That would
Well,
be
do you said the
$600.
paper
Yeah.
to make it the
The
proper
paper's
way
expensive,
or
yeah.
whatever,
And
It
so
kinda, yeah.
it's about using what you have, and the tape.
But
To
making
me, gives-
scratching a work or a life out of this piece of land, and this is what you have.
Mm-hmm.
Is that kind of the connection? Yeah.
I think so. I think it all is just about being as honest as possible, and I'm not over here trying to invest a bunch of money in something. I just want to show this work, just tell a story that is common to some people, not common to others. And
It sounds like an interesting juxtaposition because it's you have your method down and it takes a lot of work, but then at the end of the day, you don't want to put on airs and put in a frame.
Right, yeah, it takes a long time. I mean, each print takes like 3 hours,
Silsbee,
right?
yeah.
And that's not including the dry time. It takes an hour to tape up the wall, I tape it up on the ground.
Do you have to make like a special trough for this thing? Like it's really big.
You take each piece
the
of
bath
paper,
is
right?
like,
Yeah.
oh, you take
So
each piece.
I
Okay,
take
yeah.
each sheet of paper and I lay it on the ground and I tape
Absolutely.
it together and then
Okay.
I tape it on the wall.
Yeah.
And then from there I just untape it very carefully.
But
Sometimes not so carefully.
I went to the show
Okay,
in
very
Houston, and I this is all kind of making more sense to me because the way that I felt when I was walking through the room, and it's a big room and it was taking up all the walls. It felt. And there were no frames. We built a frame for the one in my studio because
classy,
we
right?
could.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
Let's try to stay classy. But it was I think the thing that I realized, and it's kind of all coming to me now, that the tinkering, that's the perfect word because it felt really magical, all the different ones, but it did feel like, holy shit, somebody tinkered with this for a long time and they nailed it. They did it really well, and it focused on the right things, I guess. Focused on the magic, not focused on the freaking glass and the sleekness of things. It was focused on the narrative,
On the work, right?
Yeah.
On the work, essentially.
That's
yeah,
the point.
yeah.
And
on the exercise,
Yeah.
It's funny, you know my favorite artist of all time is David Hockney.
I thought
David
you were
Hockney.
asking us.
Do you
I
know
was like,
David
I don't
Hockney?
know you that well.
what's up?
Do you know-
What's up, man? You didn't give me a chance to guess.
Well, yeah. I was just gonna say, have you ever
throwing
seen,
some out there.
Have you ever
Yeah.
seen his photography work? Like,
No, I'm not familiar.
you look it up, dude. I'm telling you, I think you'd really, really enjoy it. He does a lot of
Wait,
like.
what's his name?
David Hockney.
That sounds kind of
He's
Well, the art that I'm into is a mix between, and this is art. This reflects our area too.
Yeah.
Like it's very primitive based art around here. If
Yeah.
you look at like Charlie Stagg and you look at these people who just did what they could with what they had, that sort of reflects our area.
Yeah.
So I'm into that. I'm into that kind of style and that kind of way to deliver a message.
That
It's
presentation.
I'm not
Yeah.
over here.
You're that yeah,
I'm
I
not
got it.
anybody but this dude who lived. I'm just a kid living on some land, right?
Yeah,
and I don't
it's-
have like.
It's
I
like the
don't,
antithesis to like pretentiousness,
yeah. It feels. It feels. I mean, you guys, like, how many times growing up did y'all go to a museum and look at art? Like, I didn't do that all.
Like once or twice a year.
But then whenever I nerd, yeah,
Like, actually a lot.
well, so a
I'm an
lot.
asshole.
Yeah, maybe. No, I don't think so. A lot of I didn't. And then whenever I started
Yeah.
taking studio art classes, it's so common. I mean,
Right,
everything
right.
that these people have been doing, making work. We can go like the history of art, right? Like the first examples of that is the Venus from Willendorf, like this nasty looking statue of this naked woman, right? This dude just made it because like he wanted to tell a story about this thing he loved, or the cave paintings in LaSalle. That's just people saying, "Hey, I was here."
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
That's it.
People are just trying to tell a story, and that's all we're trying to do, and that's what I want to do as an artist, is just tell stories. And
So is your story inherently tied into those pieces of land that y'all still live on? That y'all
yeah,
still
for
have?
sure. I think it's
It's like Tommy's fighting it.
yeah.
He's fighting.
I'm
me
like,
behind it.
I
Eric's
live
like,
in it.
Eric's like eyes.
Dude.
His eyes are bright right
yeah,
now. He's like,
it's
yes.
me, man. I literally live on the land.
It really is.
It's cheesy. I know.
It
Dude, it's
is.
The
really
dirt-
cheesy. Like
The
it's
dirt of the Satsuma
it's
Valley runs through
Silsbee.
his veins.
Using the word
Silsbee,
dirt
you
means
know?
so much to me.
Yeah.
I think there is so much blood in the dirt that I live
yeah.
on.
Man.
Like my backyard is like, whenever it rains, glass will like
man.
come up because that's where they buried their trash. Whenever it was
Really?
hard to get rid of
You need to
trash.
plant
Like,
some
a really
blueberry bushes
crappy
back there,
piece of
dude.
land here.
yeah, it's terrible. No, it's beautiful. But the thing is, like, there's echoes, and in photography, people have their own definitions and they're fine. But like at the end of it, like a photogram especially is just an echo of a moment, right? It's
Right.
something that happened for 20 seconds and then will never happen
It's
again.
a vestige, yeah.
And so I walk outside and I hear echoes, like whether it's my brother and I, like working on a 63 Ford Galaxy that I purchased, like working on this like machine. That's what my dad did. That's what my dad's dad did. Like there's just all these echoes happening. It's the circle, right? It's commonality.
Repeats,
right. History repeats. It's a circle.
Life is the circle of life, all that stuff.
Yeah, and it's so real. It feels a lot and
So you feel like you're kind of, it's almost like you're in the place that you're in and the art that you're making, you're kind of sitting in the center of that circle and just watching it go around you.
Yeah.
And
that's
also contributing to
Capturing moments.
repeating it through my nephews and nieces,
Capturing
and
the
cousins.
echoes.
I mean, that's what artists are good for. In my eyes, it's like, well, people can write a history book that aren't artists, but artists tell a little bit. Maybe it's romanticized, but they tell a better history. I think.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
That's what this guy does for me.
It's kind of like
It's like, yeah,
romanticizes
like if I'm
what
like,
you're
God,
doing.
why am I here in Silsbee? What was I
Eric will
thinking?
frame it to you
And
in a
he'll come over
romantic
and he'll
way.
just be like,
Oh, no, this is the dream,
he'll say
bud.
something about like the aggregate, glass coming up to the top. And it's like that was meaningful or whatever. When you're
It felt like. I mean,
and I'm like, hell yeah, man, let's do this. Silsbee 4E.
I'm definitely gonna wear shoes if I'm in your backyard.
yeah, no, it's just
that
this
much.
one section, guys. It's
Oh,
not
okay.
the whole.
That's not
It's like
the
you should
studio
clean
one.
that up before you have children.
Like old
Because-
snuff
Scary.
jars, from my
okay.
her name was Big Mama. That was
Hey,
my
man, I had neighbors that burn trash.
yeah. It's the
Yeah,
thing.
I
Like,
burn trash.
We
I've
still
done
have
it.
to
I
ask.
mean, we can all
I
raise
don't know
our
why
hands.
I said neighbors. Yeah,
You have
I had a
to,
My
flashback.
neighbors-
I had a
actually,
flashback.
you have to burn your trash now because the Hardin County dump closed.
Are you serious?
Yeah, no one. in
Did it
Hardin
legit
County.
close?
Yeah, it's been closed now for months.
Since Harvey,
And
probably.
my dad lives in Coons. He told me he has to bring his trash either to
To-
the work dumpster or
to
like take it
Lufkin.
to Beaumont.
Yeah, I don't know what that's all about. I still take my.
You're like,
trash.
I don't know what that. I just burn my trash in the yard, brother. I don't know. That's all. What's we had it done? I don't even know.
Geothermal. Right?
I bought that extra acre for
Just trash.
Bought that back 40 so I can dump my trash on it.
Yeah. No.
So what, Eric? Do you feel like you're keeping Tommy's dream alive or something? Maybe now.
Man, this guy's helping.
It's like it's a part-time job. Yeah. No,
It was a Friday night.
It started
gig. It's
that way,
like,
right? It's like
Eric, where are you?
you put you put your recording studio in my living room, and then
Oh,
That's how it
where
all started. Yeah,
and
no,
then
I
it just
moved
was
back.
like every night.
I moved
He's like,
back.
hey, Eric, man, you have a lot of space
No,
in here, bro.
I moved back. He didn't even have a lot of space at the time. I moved back. This is what 3 years ago at least now, and I called him up. Honestly, we weren't like close friends.
No.
I mean, like I knew you, and
Yeah.
but I knew I was like,
You weren't like
I
bro
bet
bros.
that guy
Yeah.
still lives here because he
Y'all
loves this place.
Y'all weren't even that close. And
No. And so I called him up and I was like, hey man, I've got all this gear and I'm living in a 200 square foot room with my whole family. Can I keep it at your place? Do you have a place? And he was like, yeah, I actually just moved into this 1-bedroom house. I was like, see ya in a couple of minutes. and yeah,
I like
set up
literally
over there.
had just moved. I like
Yeah, you
it
just
was
moved.
like maybe there for a week.
I totally took over too. It's like this whole living room, kitchen area is.
was it
just a
your
big
folks'
studio.
house?
So my grandfather, his house was destroyed in Ike. This is my mom's father, not the father that lived on the land, but his house was destroyed. So we built him a little 1-bedroom house. I don't know what the square
So
footage is.
you took it over.
And so whenever he passed away, my brother lived there, and then my brother moved, and then now I that's where I live now.
Yeah.
And it's like literally like in the same spot that I grew up on. But
So you needed a place to store your gear, and
I needed to like record music, so it worked out.
I mean, I thought
was like,
I felt like,
yeah, your gear, great.
I was like, man, if I was Eric, I would be like, yeah, sure.
absolutely.
Hey,
And
that's-
so he did. And
I
yeah,
don't have
just
to record
synergy,
on my
bro.
MacBook Pro microphone anymore, so this is great.
oh, that's always
yeah, no,
Garage
it was
band.
legit
Microphones are
studio,
good, yeah.
just
And
like that.
We wrote a record.
Yeah, we did. We've been recording.
That was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, the same.
We were still recording. We
It's
re-recorded
really-
one song from it last night.
It's really moved a lot faster than I thought it had. I thought you. I mean, it's still kind of funny to me that you've been living here for 3 years and we've never really hung out, but either of us really. But
Yeah,
you know how life is.
35
But
minutes, maybe.
There's an ocean between us, the ocean of
it's,
Lumberton.
it's called Lumberton. Yes.
Just drive fast, man.
Yeah, don't drive fast.
At nighttime, the red lights are yellow.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, and there's a lot of cops that really love to pull you over.
Yeah, well.
Anyway, we're not talking shit on Lumberton because we have a friend there. So
I also teach there.
And Eric teaches there, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has
Hey,
moved. It's moved along. I mean,
I'll say this.
when you live in it every day, it doesn't
Yeah.
feel like it's moving along.
Lumberton High School, or Lumberton ISD especially, they've got some good things going on. I was like genuinely impressed with how nice they have been. And like,
Yeah, whatever.
nah, dude, it's so true, man. It's so nice.
So
Tommy's like
yeah.
Team Silsbee over here. He's like, whatever, dude, I want to hear that.
Get that.
Silsbee's not like
He's like, have you seen our stadium?
when it comes
Have
to
you seen our stadium?
Yeah, no.
It takes $40,000 to resod the grass.
That's Lumberton.
I was talking about the grass on the outside, not even the field.
Man, we're
Just
throwing
the
some old
sidewall
school rivalry
hills.
shade.
Yeah,
actually-
no, I do like often like have to
that?
say,
That was
hey,
our first journalist story
Yeah,
together.
that
We
was.
were like, "That's some BS."
We were like, that's a lot of money. Shoot.
yeah,
Oh,
Lumberton
man.
versus Silsbee, whatever. Yeah, that's interesting.
They're winning economically. I know that for sure.
Lumberton?
Yes,
Yeah.
the town's booming, man. Go
Oh,
drive
yes.
through it. It's unrecognizable.
All right, let's talk real
yeah.
talk. Who's gonna buy? Which one of us is buying the Pines and getting that going? Because
Oh,
I drive by that
We
every
talked about
day.
this 2
So-
weeks
so
ago.
first of all, I actually-
Because it's not going to be me, but I'll support.
I've
So
tried.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. I've actually had a conversation about this very, very recently with a friend of all of ours. Y'all know Ben, right? Y'all know Ben Harwell. Y'all friends with Ben?
yeah,
Harwell?
I know Ben.
He's in Austin, I thought.
No, he's been living here for a while.
Always comes as a freaking magnet.
Shout out to Ben.
Yo, Ben, hit us up. Where you at?
So he's been working in like a clinic in Mid County for a while. Now he lives in Silsbee, and now he wants to actually do something in Silsbee. He's thinking about businesses to start. He has some friends to start. He's thinking about the building that's right beside the Pines, like the one with the surveyor's office, the one that used to be that cool dollar store where we would buy candy before we go watch a movie. You know what I'm talking about? That one.
Yeah.
So he's in talks with that, and he talked to me because, you know, I have dumb ideas and I know a little bit about stuff. And I was like, dog, man, it's Pines or bust. It's the Pines or bust. So he gave me the 4-on-1.
That's how I feel.
I'm
the
not
Pines.
necessarily bust because it's probably really expensive to keep that place.
But if anybody wants to buy the Pines, here's a 4-on-1 on it. It's actually still owned by Cinemark, and they want $700,000 for it.
They
So
brought it up to 700.
yeah. So that's what
Last
they
time
want
I
for
looked,
it.
it was 220.
Yeah, so
Or
that's-
what was it?
Because it's historical.
So
People
it's-
want it.
But it's owned by Cinemark.
gosh.
And I told him, I was like, this is what you're going to have to do if you want to get the Cinemark in your hands. You're going to have to go become friends with everybody in the city council. Then you're going to have to put a proposition up for a city ordinance for a
Historical.
not even historical.
Eminent
Don't go that
domain.
route. An eminent domain thing. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to start like some sort of Main Street clause or something like that where
Because they are
if
doing that
something
Silsbee Main
is
Street movement right now.
so if something is sitting abandoned, then you're going to have to pay the city for that, and then hopefully and if you don't, the city can annex it, and then you can buy it very cheaply from the city. So I
Okay.
gave him all this, so hopefully he might
Yeah, it needs
start
somebody
to do that. Yeah,
Whenever it
because
is,
I heard the roof is like
Sagging.
like
That's the problem.
the
the
storm
roof is
hit
a
it,
problem. They've
you know.
never I worked there for 2 years or
Right.
3, I don't know, and they never properly fixed the roof. And then Harvey, and then it destroyed. And last time I looked, I mean, they were offering it was like $150,000 or $200,000 for it. And then I looked up the
Yeah.
appraisal; it's $97,000.
Yeah.
What
Right,
it appraised
exactly.
at.
Old building.
$97,000, and that was 3-4 years ago
It's never
before the
gonna
storm.
happen.
And then now
it's
you're telling me it's
never gonna happen.
$700.
I don't know how you're going to try to charge me $700,000 for the building ghosts in it.
Sounds like the AT&T.
Yeah.
You know.
AT&T building.
That is such a
Yeah.
shame. It's such a beautiful space. Whenever we found out it was up for sale, it's a lot of
I
dream
mean,
talks.
there's a lot of things that you
that's
could do.
crazy.
You could make it. Not even just the theater. You can make it. Not the theater part of it. Probably wouldn't be profitable
That's
at
actually
all.
secondary, to be honest with you.
You
No,
can make
that's
it
what we
an
always
event
thought.
space of some sort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd have to play movies, but it could be some
But you could
kind
do
of
like
event
art house
space.
cinema. You could do like play old school movies,
Yeah.
play classic movies. People would drive in from Buna for that. You know.
Well, also the nursing home community. There's so many. I mean,
We'd have to get people driving in from Beaumont. That's the key.
no, well that's another. That comes later.
hey,
No,
what-
you don't think
doesn't
so.
Beaumont have a
Tandem
film
Bill?
festival?
You don't have to.
Right, Spindletop Film Festival.
Yeah, they do.
Why can't we?
Boomtown
Why
Film
can't we?
It's
I
a
mean, I know the
boomtown, yeah.
Jefferson's okay. I mean, it's an okay spot. But the
No,
Pines
it's
theater.
It's okay. I don't know, man. It's just I don't think they've
We
never-
all would like it to happen.
We all.
you
It's
know,
all like a.
just getting sad thinking about it.
I mean,
No,
dude,
cool.
why are you even thinking about it? You're still building a studio.
I know, no, trust me. Like, I mean, we went down that rabbit hole for a little bit. I mean, I was talking to people, and
I was calling real estate agents. I was like,
Yeah.
dude, I'm ready
About
to.
the
I wanted to do it. I wanted to take a loan, and it just
something has to be profitable though for it to be sustained.
Right,
And
It
it's
has to
something-
be
has-
at least not even profitable. It has to be able to cover itself.
right. It has to
For
be
that kind
sustaining.
of.
And
The sad thing about that theater is since you work there, you'll know probably the thing that would be a lot more expensive than the roof. The roof wouldn't be that bad, but like the curtains, just the curtains around the entire outside would be thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars. The seats would be an incredible amount of money.
Yeah.
If the roof is damaged and it's been leaking in there,
Yes, very curious.
Every single seat's gonna
very
have to be
curious about the
replaced.
seats because they just replaced
all those
them
curtains are going to be
before they-
replaced. The screen is going to have to
And
be
it probably
replaced.
flooded too. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, the projector alone.
so you're
too.
right. It would have to end up being some kind of.
So you would have to
You'd
be
have
able
to
to
get
get
it.
Unless
that.
you had
You
some
would be able to
coin.
get the city to take it, and then you would have to probably sign some sort of promissory note with the city with some sort of like an initiation fund, and then get it started. Because you could do that. You could actually probably sign some sort of promissory note with 5 years free rent if you promise to
Or
like,
not
get it up to going.
no taxes or
Yeah,
something.
no taxes and all
Like
that
tax
stuff. So
abatement.
you could do all
That's what they
that,
usually do.
but
Well, Ben, where you at?
well, yeah, dog.
Where you at, Ben? This
Yeah,
is a shout out.
somebody.
This is a call out to my friend Ben.
It's a call to action.
You got
Somebody.
some Silsbees want to make some stuff happen in that
Silsbee?
country ass town. So Eric, why Silsbee? What is? I mean, is it going back to just the plot of land that you grew up on, or like?
Well,
Because you're the one, like I said, you're the one that's held on to this dream for so long.
yeah, I
You're
so
bringing me along too.
why
man.
Silsbee?
I'm ready for this answer too.
Bring it.
Here it is. Here's the answer. I thought about it a lot.
Tommy wants to know.
You guys ready?
He's
Okay.
gonna pull out your notes, and here's the one.
Yeah, no, it's really less about Silsbee. It's less about driving through that town. I mean, that town looks like other towns.
Yeah.
It's all about the surrounding. The and I say this,
Big thing.
and I really do think this means, but we've got your horizon is broken off by piney wood trees, right?
Yeah.
Pine trees, magnolia trees. You're pretty much surrounded by brown water, Village Creek.
Yeah.
Right? And you have so many people growing up the way we grew up, which is surrounded by nature. And there's an artist who talked about people that grow up locally, like in a local rural area, that they're just a little bit more connected to nature. And I think that's really it. I think it's that simple. We can sit here and try to overcomplicate it, but it's as simple as like being
let's
imaginative
stop.
as
One second.
as a
So
young person.
that's his answer, and I feel like just a little bit ago, my answer was like, it's just me. Like it's because I've lived here, and I'm egocentric.
You see, yeah,
So like that's why we have to hang out, because he's like
he puts an
no,
external
it's more
viewpoint
than
on it.
that, and I'm just like, well, I just want to live here because I always lived here.
I mean,
it feels good. I know.
Maybe Eric knows you more than you know. you.
I hope he does.
Well, it's
I'm not
as
too
simple as
thrilled with
it's
it.
as simple as being young and like 8 to 13 years old and being able to walk out of your house
Oh, man,
and
for
walk
sure.
a mile, 2 miles
Yeah.
to your friend's house who
Or ride your
he
bike.
lives in like
Oh,
a
man,
bamboo
for sure.
forest.
For sure.
And you like grow up playing Final Fantasy characters in the bamboo forest. Like
Yeah.
your mind starts thinking about our alternative things.
I mean, you find like cool structures in the woods.
Yeah.
That you turn
Or
into
you-
forests.
Oh, man.
and that
Yeah.
means
I-
it's as simple as that, guys.
This
It's
is
not,
true.
And I played a lot of video games when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But I still climbed a lot
But it's
of
not,
trees.
now
Yeah.
it's not. I'm not trying to complicate it to bring it back up, but it's more about the people. I guess really the audience that we have don't. Not a lot of the people that listen are from that area. Most of them are in Beaumont,
Right.
You know, like
Yeah.
they don't like
There's
Silsbee.
they're probably,
Like, we're always talking
they're
about
probably
Silsbee.
suburbs. Most
Yeah,
people are
grew up in
suburb,
suburbs
yeah.
or something like that, and it's like that's why to explain that.
I'm sure suburbs have their charm too, though.
I think it has to do with just being a kid and being alone and being like and just being a little closer to what we as humans used to be, right? Like noiselessness, like no noise, just crickets and frogs and
Cicadas.
stars and all that
Occasional mountain lions.
Oh, that's rumors of bears.
Rumors of bears.
Right, like
Never
these,
actually saw.
these like really.
I saw a beaver.
There ain't rumors no more.
I saw a beaver.
Oh, the echo of a train.
Yeah.
This was me.
Right.
It wasn't a beaver.
Or like
It wasn't a beaver. That was a nutria rat.
or whatever
that was.
yeah.
That's you're right.
That's a nutria
the
rat.
noises of loud V8 engines running around
You
on the
said-
dirt track.
You said 8 to 13, right? 8 to 13.
I'm not good with
13
that.
years old. Bring it back to the Pines, sitting in the Pines Theater watching The Fellowship of the Ring. And then going out the next day on a Saturday morning into the woods and just being like, all right.
Casting fireballs and shit.
Hell yeah.
Hell
man.
Yeah, dude.
That I mean, I'd go back.
Starship
I'd do that
Troopers
again.
in that theater. And
I hope my kids do that. Honestly, I hope that's probably why I moved back. I want
It's so
my
you could
kids
give your
have that
kids to
moment.
say. You think it's some subconscious thing for you?
So that's why I want the Pines to open up so my 13-year-old son can go see
this is a
his
I'm gonna
generation
buy a
Lord of the
theater.
Rings.
I'm gonna buy a theater for you. You need to tell them boys. Like you need to tell them, hey, I did this for you.
Oh,
okay,
man.
you could be living in Waco right now.
all things I do are for
Daddy would have gone Koresh, and like it's not much better off down here. It's a little sweatier, but
I think quietness is important. I think being quiet is important, and I
Yeah.
think
so,
Silsbee
too.
gave that to us a lot. And
Being
you can
loud
probably argue.
until it
You
is
hear a lot
loud.
of people who are like
can get loud.
maybe even from Vider or people that talk about like, why are you creative?
I've met a lot of
How do
creative
you?
people from Vider.
No,
Yeah,
yeah,
Vider.
no, I know
I mean,
that.
Vider's just
Vider
across
is
the
very
river
similar,
from
right?
us.
Vider, I mean,
Yeah.
Vider's basically like Silsbee in a way.
Very much.
Yeah.
It's a
And-
lot flatter.
yeah,
It's
but there's
right across the river. It's
See
the
me
same
throwing
way. It's
shade.
just way, way, way more white.
right. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
yep. And
Actually,
I
more Asian than Silsbee too. There's a big Asian population.
Yeah, well,
in
let's
Vider.
not talk about
Wow.
demographics when we talk about Vider.
Okay, yeah,
We're gonna go there.
let's get there, guys. All right, I've got a graph
So
here.
now we got to why I like
Well, now that we're talking about
Vider.
No, what I wanted to get at about that was like a lot of people talk about the reason why they're creative from being from a small town is because they're so different. I'm so different than these people.
Yeah, there's
it's
extreme-
anarchy.
Yeah, but we all
It's-
graduated within like
it's all-
a year of each other, and we're all kind of similar in a way.
It's
but
all
we're not
Yeah, you
different.
got
right.
the
That's,
four.
that's
We're
what I'm
not
getting at, right? Like
900.
No, honestly, I
it's
think,
not about anarchy. I want to
I don't
want to
think it is
shout out.
either.
It's not about like, oh, I just want to be different. Now that sometimes is a reason why I justify living in Silsbee.
I don't think
but
any of us wanted to be different.
I don't
in
think
school.
that either.
No. Well, we all kind of
I
did.
just wanted to make pretty things.
I mean, we were
and say
dweebs,
pretty
dude.
things.
We were honestly dweebs. We weren't
Right.
like, really that different. But
No, but I think I hate that narrative. I hate the like we're creative because we don't want to be like all these
Creative
other people.
because there's a
I wanna-
pressure to be
I want to
something
be like
else. It's
some of
not-
those people.
I think it's.
I don't- I wanna be
But that,
like
that
those
makes sense
people.
though to what you said about you being here is or being there is like that's the most you,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's that.
True.
I mean that kind of that ties into that thing of like it's not about being different. It's not we're in this space so we have to find ways to be different. It's just something about that space nurtured a certain thing in all of us,
Yeah.
in each of us,
Yeah, it's
and several other people that we know.
Yeah.
no. It is really simple. I think it's a simple equation. I think boredom equates to introspection, right?
Yeah.
When you have a moment to think, when you have like nothing to do, and you sit around, and you have that's a problem that your brain has to solve. So boredom is like a very fundamental thing for like fostering creativity in you. When you're bored, your brain has a problem, has to solve it. What should I do now? And then in that solution to that problem, that's what creativity is. What do I do?
Yeah.
If you live in a city where you're constantly surrounded by things and people,
Sensory
or
operations.
even if you
it's-
do
don't-
get bored
you don't
in a
have
city,
the opportunities. Yeah,
This really helps.
Yeah.
I think paint the picture for me is even if you do get bored in a city and you do want to be creative, it's that much more difficult to
Right.
find the means. When you're in Silsbee,
You gotta
like,
break into a clique.
there ain't
and,
nobody else doing it. So
Oh, there is another studio
Yeah.
in Silsbee at one point, I think.
yeah, I'm sure
It was
there.
a shitty little studio.
I
but-
bet it was.
Probably,
I bet it was rad.
Yeah.
But you know, even there's room for two studios in
It wasn't
Silsbee,
nearly
you
as
know?
rad
I think,
as
it,
it is.
I think it's more
No.
for when you're growing up though than when you're an adult. You know, I think you develop that creativity when you're young.
Yeah,
so by
yeah.
the time you're older, you pretty much have it, or you kind of almost don't. So that's why
Wow,
a lot of
that's
people are
true.
transplant. You think about all the
good.
creative professionals that live in like London or New York or San Francisco. I guarantee they didn't grow up there. You know, people that
Yeah.
grow up there, they're like the workers of the city. You know, they're kind of the
or
the
if they are in
Jones.
creative industries, they're not necessarily the ones that are the
But
standouts.
it's almost a trope now when you go to like somebody's art show in Houston or something. Who is it there? It's Eric. It's Eric's art show in Houston. Is he from Houston? No, he's not. He's a transplant. Or
Yeah.
It's just I'm telling you, I think it is really simple. It's I think boredom equates to the opportunity to solve it.
Yeah.
And it gives you reason to find creativity.
Yeah.
I think
I've got internet too.
The internet?
That's pretty dope.
Oh,
the
you got
internet is
internet
a
now?
dangerous
Yeah.
tool.
Well, I mean,
guys.
I can get there
Yeah,
if I
for
need
sure.
to.
The internet is weird.
Intentional.
Gosh dang internets.
Got to be intentional, but
Yeah.
get there.
He's got to drive down to
half mile down
McDonald's
to his
or-
mailbox.
There
just to get
definitely,
the internet.
there definitely is a benefit.
got to drive down to the Barking Dog and get on the internet.
The barking dog. All right.
Oh man.
Shut up.
Only
Got to
gig I
drive
ever
down to
played.
the Grind Daddies and get on their
Only gig I
internet
ever played.
Wi-Fi.
That was us.
Yeah.
Did you drum? Yeah.
Yeah.
I played Needing to Escape.
Jeremiah Jackson, man.
I was there.
I broke a string on that.
Oh, God.
I broke my string on that. Like
We
the worst case
killed it,
scenario.
man.
Third show
Should
ever.
have just done that. Should have just kept that gig going, you know.
Yeah, the 5W should have toured, but whatever.
I still have those tracks.
Do you still have those tracks? You do?
Should I put a 5W's track on the episode?
You
Yeah,
should do
please.
that. You should do the intro like we did at Silsbee High School for the announcements where we put 5W's as the intro.
I think that'd be
Did
great.
we do that?
Yeah. And then Judas Feet came around and they copied us, but that's
Jesus
fine.
Feet's so much better than we were, though.
It was terrible.
That's
Come
not
on,
true.
guys.
Not
Let's
true.
be honest.
Nah,
Shut up,
Judas
Tommy.
Feet was the
Lyrics,
shit.
maybe.
I liked
me
it
a
on
break,
MySpace.
Give me a break,
I mean,
guys.
I'm just pretty sure the 5W's were first.
Look, I knew what I
just wanna
wanted
make
to
that-
do. I didn't know how to do it. I
man,
still don't know
everybody's
how to
gonna
do
start
it.
somewhere.
At least I'm still trying.
You have a nice space to not know how to do it in.
I think you know how to do it.
Well, I mean, I guess, man, we'll call it at that.
It's starting to get hot in here. Let's
We'll
wrap
call
it up.
that.
Oh, that's it. Bang.
It was
You
easy.
did it.
It's fun, right?
We can
This is
do
a good
another
time.
hour.
I got
thanks
what I
for
wanted.
coming, y'all. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, man.
I had a
That's
good time.
great.
I know it was a long drive. Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Oh man.
next time we do it, we'll drive out there. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
all
we
right.
didn't know that car was on the table, or we might have done it.
Well,
But,
maybe if something comes up, maybe we'll have to have one or both of y'all back because I had a good time.
I had a
For
great
sure.
time.
Continue this. Maybe once we're all at a different point in a few months, we'll see what happens.
I'd love
Yeah.
to.
Cool.
Anytime you get a
Awesome.
band come, send them our way. If you
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
fill up these walls,
We
Eric,
got
send them.
a record coming out.
You know?
we'll
Yeah.
drop it. That's cool.
We don't have a lot of space on the walls, but we have some.
We have some space
I have
for
a
Eric's
ton of
stuff.
work.
We can't take your big ones though.
No, it
Yeah,
will not
yeah.
fit in here.
We'll maybe do
Little
the
ones.
ceiling or something.
But
Anyway,
I have some.
thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you
Yeah, we'll see you next time.
You there if I were here.
All right, and that's been our episode. Thanks, Tommy and Eric, for coming on the show and talking to us. We had a really fun time talking to
Yeah,
those
much
guys.
love. We there was a lot of Silsbee love in this episode. You
Yeah,
know?
no, it felt good catching up, too.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, we went to high school. Well, I didn't go to high school with Eric, but I went to high school with Tommy. That's my big homie.
Yeah, and a special shout out again to our patrons, Jordan, Lance, Brian, and Doug. Doug's also another Silsbee native, so big ups to the Silsbee boys
Yeah, he'll probably like
representing
this
A to Z
one.
podcast.
Yeah, if we get some more of you guys in there, we'll definitely start making some merch and stuff like that. So we would really enjoy that. But as always, thank you guys for listening to A to Z Podcast.
Yes.
And yeah, catch us next week where our guest will be Chelsea Tipton, conductor of the Symphony of Southeast Texas. And spoiler alert, my training partner.
All right, go get that turkey, y'all.
I saw you there. Dark falling rain melts away in the morning, and all of the wind blows far from the sun.